Yeah, today we are going to have a discussion with respect to the Raspberry Pi, and the contents for the class would be what is the Raspberry Pi, how did the Raspberry Pi got its name, the historical perspective with respect to the Raspberry Pi, when it was actually launched, the component of the Raspberry Pi, how does it work, and the related projects which could have been developed with the help of this Raspberry Pi, and its role in an IoT, the actual advantage and disadvantages with respect to the Raspberry Pi. So here, as the name itself is suggesting, it's a Pi. So here I can say a Raspberry Pi is nothing but a credit card sized computer which originally got designed for serving the educational purposes. So I can also tell a Raspberry Pi is a motherboard which contains different slots like a USB port, the audio jack, the memory slots, the Ethernet port, and so on. And the Raspberry Pi, I can just say it will act something which is slower than our modern laptops or the desktops, but still it is having a complete capability which will provide all kinds of abilities with low power consumption. So here the Raspberry Pi ranges between $5 to $35 with its cost. With our Indian values, I can just tell it can come with 350 rupees to 2500 rupees. So, how did it got its name is the next important question which we should address. So, there are a lot of computer companies which were named after the fruit. You can just think of there is an apricot, there is a tangerine, and there is an acorn. Those are all the family of the fruits. And raspberry is again one more fruit name. And this fruit name is being correlated with a popular language called as a Python. So that's the reason we call Pi is basically going to produce a computer which could not only be really used with respect to the Python, but it is having a flavor with the Python. So it got its name as Raspberry Pi. And the historical perspective with this Raspberry Pi is something which is listed down the lane. So here, the Raspberry Pi was created in February 2012, and it was the first generation, and it goes with a Model B as a name, launched by UK. And people who were working with this Model B version had the specification details as 512 megabytes RAM, and it will have an connections being established with an Ethernet port. It's having an audio jack. It's also having HDMI processor, and it will be capable enough for supporting with the Broadcom. So in that regard, I could just now connect the official releases which was launched for the Raspberry Pi is a Model B, which is basic, and this was released in Feb 2012. There was Model B Plus, which is of credit card sized, and this was launched in April 2014. There was A Plus and B Plus models, which was again released a year later. There was a release called as Pi 2, which was observed in 2015. There was yet one more release called as Pi 0, and now the Pi 0 is substituted as general purpose input and an output. And this we could observe in 2015. There was a release of which was going through the name called as onboard Wi-Fi, a Bluetooth and USB boot capabilities. And this we could see in Feb 2016. There was one more release in 2017, and this release was exactly identical to the Raspberry Pi Zero, but has the extended capability where the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth functionality was also added. and this goes with a name called as Raspberry Pi Zero W. So here you could see from the screen the various versions and the models which was released at appropriate here. So the model B is an initial, then it was A, then it was compute model, then it was A plus, then it was B plus. There was a 2 model B, then it was a 3 model B, and we have got a 0. So that those were the improvements or the milestones with respect to the Raspberry Pi. Now, moving further with this Raspberry Pi, how does this Raspberry Pi programming gets its establishment with respect to the operating system, and what is that operating system we can call as when we use this model? That's the next understanding. So here we can see from the screen, there are various components which are listed out, and these component has some of the functionalities described within its board. So what you are observing to the right hand side of the board, there is something USB port, there is an audio jack, there is HDMI, which I call as high definition multimedia interface. There is a power supply, there is SD card slot, there is an Ethernet, there is an LED, there is a Wi-Fi or a Bluetooth, there is an CSI which we call as camera serial interface connectors, and this CSI will provide as an interface to the cameras. So those are the essential key components which we can generally observe from the board. And you can make a note there. There is an audio out, there is again a video out, there is a display connector, there is a card slot, and we can also see the Broadcom with an a related arm. There is an Ethernet which is associated with the board, and all this put together, the key components makes up the Raspberry Pi. And basically, how does it work, and what is that I should know when these key components are added? Let us just see with another slide. Yeah, we can see from this slide. Yeah, what we can see from this slide, and how did I borrowed that content, the previous content, to an exactly our class contents is displayed here. So here I just repeat once again, a Raspberry Pi, as the name suggests, it's nothing but a single board computer made by Raspberry Pi Foundation, an UK charity which aims to educate people in computing and creating easier access to the computing education. And the Raspberry Pi was launched in 2012, and we saw the various historical milestones and the perspectives with respect to the Raspberry Pi. And there were several iterations, there were several releases which was done since 2012. And the original Raspberry Pi had a core 700 megahertz CPU with 256 MB RAM. And today, the latest model, we call it as a quad core, and it is having a capability of 1.4 gigahertz CPU with 1 GB RAM. And the main price point or the cost factor associated with the Raspberry Pi is always cheaper. And we see here the board configurations. And to understand this board configurations, firstly, I'll just take up the fundamental called as config. So here, when I observe this command called as raspi-config, it's nothing but a configuration tool which is described by the Raspbian operating system. and it allows the programmer to easily enable all those features which relates to camera, which relates to the specific settings done by the system. The specific settings can come from on keyboard, or it can come from a video or an HDMI, or it can come from any point which relates to the networking. All those modifications, all those changes could be observed or could be just kept as a log with this raspi-config. Now I have one more, I can call it as a command called as config.txt. It could be in a file, and this config.txt file basically describes the configuration related details which is stored. I have got the third hardware layout, and it's very, very important. It's called as networking. And when we work with this Raspbian Pi, preferably we go with a wireless. So I add here the wireless networking. And in this wireless networking, we could be able to find the configuring details about the Raspbian Pi, which is connecting to all the smarter devices which are existent in the network. And these smarter devices would be built up with an wireless means, and it is also providing a certain access point found in the system. So moving to the next one, there is a proxy, and this proxy will determine or state about the setting up details to the Raspbian Pi, and this also describes the accessibility to the internet via a proxy server. Then we have got an HDMI config, and this HDMI config allows or guides the setting up of the respective HDMI device, including the custom settings. We have the audio config, and this audio config provides all those necessary details like switching the audio output between the HDMI and between the jack and so on. We do have a camera config, and this camera config aims at installing and setting up the Raspbian Pi camera related board layout. And we do also have some functionality described with external means, meaning to say, like, there may be a possibility of the programmer to mount and to set up some of the external storages which are acted upon with the Raspberry Pi, and this would be seen with an external parameters. Now, moving from that, we have the localization, and the setting up of the Pi, that's a Raspberry Pi, to work in all the local language with all the time zone factors. Everything comes under the localization functionality. Likewise, we have a default pin configuration which will trigger or which will tell about the changing of the default pin states, the device tree configuration details, the kernel command line details, the UART configuration details, the firmware warning icons, and so on. So these localization and these endpoints preferably will tell the IoT environment about the actual core functionality it has to perform. Now, moving further, there is one more warning messages which would be prompted with respect to the on and off state of the Raspbian Pi. So that is nothing but an LED warning flash codes. And when we come with this word called as LED warning flash codes, it's nothing but the description about the meaning of an LED. And this description about the LED always has two states. One is a failure, one is a success. A failure is one which will say the system to shut down, say the system to reboot it, say the system to pause, say the system to sleep. Similarly, I have the success which will be booting the system, which will be starting or restarting the system, and so on. Now, yet we have one more functionality which will be provided with this Raspberry Pi. That's something like how do I make my programming secure, and how do I just have some of the related functionalities for the aspect called as secure. So, yet we do have some commands which will associate the application to be secure. Then we have one more setting which could be observed from the desktop, and that desktop I call it as a screensaver. And this provides the configuration related details for the window or a screen, like blinking, or I have some added images which should be pushed back of the screen, and so on. Then I have one more folder called as a boot folder. And this boot folder will convey the information like what is found inside the system and what it is really not found with an operating system. Now, we have some points to be noted down when we work with this Raspbian Pi. So, the options here is something just like I would like to use a full desktop computer, and this full desktop computer for me can come with a larger screen, or for me, it can come as a smaller compact device. And as we know, the Raspberry Pi is a smaller computer or a compact machine or a device which will be used for serving some of the smarter applications. And now, this Raspberry Pi always involves connecting to the external means of an input sources like a keyboard, mouse, monitor, and so on. It is always best observed the installation of a Raspbian would be recommended with a desktop, which may give full-fledged exploiting of the graphical user interface. And if we wanted to have the experience to be obtained with an actual UI components, we can see this Raspbian Pi with the Windows version, probably the desktop. Then we can have the popular Linux flavors like Ubuntu. And now the next important thing is after we observe that hardware layout, the board configuration details, minimal functionalities with respect to the operating systems, then the real clicking point where we are trying to focus much is with the programming. Now, what exactly is this Raspberry Pi doing with IoT with respect to the programming is a one important question. So here, to address that, I can just tell the Raspberry Pi always is an amazing single board computer, and we use this single board computer as the SBC name, and we can see this SBC capable of running with the various flavors of operating systems like the Windows, Linux, and so on. And which one comes as a greatest challenge with an Raspberry Pi is the cost. So here the Raspberry Pi will come with a surprising cost amount, and always the enthusiasts who wanted to adopt this Raspberry Pi makes use of the extended capabilities, something like they given interfacing to the media center. They have some smaller programs written for file servers. They also have some built-in capability for the game operation. Maybe it is with an entertainment. They also have some kind of, interfaces provided to the consoles and so on. So here, the Raspberry Pi would be capable enough of carrying out or handling lots of projects where the people use it for convenient means. And since it's doing really good and faster, and it is able to decode, higher rate videos, there is one always the door which is open for the Raspberry Pi enthusiasts. So here, this Raspberry Pi again has the important UI which is built on top of the application. Now, there could be a question, or you may have an important question to be asked. Always, I work or I take a language called as Python, going hand in hand with the Raspberry Pi. Why does it goes with the popular language called as a Python? And the best answer which I can relate now is Python is a beginner friendly programming language, and this Python is almost equivalent to the C language. And this has been adopted in a school level, and people use it for many applications like web development or scientific research, or it could be even in real life solving problems and so on. And that really made a sense to go this Raspberry Pi with a popular language called as Python. And the popular recommendations which could be done with this Raspberry Pi is on Windows higher versions of operating system. Maybe I can just take it as in Windows 10. Then there could be one more question like, does this Raspberry Pi run with the Linux flavors or maybe the Ubuntu or Fedora? We can run this Raspberry Pi even with the Ubuntu, even with the Fedora or any type of Linux operating system. But we need to just build up or have specifications modified on the system with respect to the various ports, with respect to the expandability of the power values written by the developers. And the next question, which could be asked, maybe if I am just beginner for the Raspberry Pi, can I get an help of knowing the site and the forums which works with this Raspberry Pi? Since it was launched in 2012 and now today we are in 2021, we can expect the stronger community which always strives forward for helping all those users who officially use the Raspberry Pi on their on sites, and they have the forums for discussion with the language. Now, which could be the latest network where the Raspberry Pi could be observed? And the answer here for the networking capability comes as whenever we try to have a network associated with any type of a file system, there is the challenges which would be posed for an admin. There will be a challenges which would be posed for managing and updating the appropriate forums or a board. And this again has the minimization if we work in sync with Raspberry Pi and Python. So here, the one first important application which is being taken is the usage of wireless temperature monitoring system. What is this wireless temperature monitoring system basically doing, and what are the real benefits we can observe with this wireless sensor monitoring system? Can anyone just tell what is that we observe with the wireless monitoring system? I'll just give 1 minute time. Just think and tell me. Any monitoring system, how does it react, and what is the role of this wireless monitoring system, which is found for any type of application? I have not given any specific application to think. That's the first point you should observe. So the question which I pose now is incomplete. So if I just modify and I'm trying to tell you people, give me an actual monitoring system to provide the IoT environment added with an ambient intelligence to serve for a medical purpose. If I am just posing a problem statement of this kind, automatically what comes or clicks the observer's mind is it should be probably the advanced smart healthcare system. It could be a smart healthcare monitoring system taking an IoT environment. That's the first point which we try to gain with our understandability. It's perfect. So here we have got the first application which could be thought of is a healthcare monitoring system. And we know like healthcare monitoring system will have several significant challenges with an advancement of Internet of Things technologies. And the healthcare monitoring system facilitates the programmers with an actual face-to-face consulting, or it will facilitate the progress of an healthcare of a related patient by consulting to the telemedicine. And now, how does the patient consults to the telemedicine? How does the patient can have a face-to-face consulting with an doctors or the surgeons would be the challenge which we can observe with an healthcare monitoring system. And to carry out this, I depend on this Raspberry Pi, and there is again the programming which we carry out. I have just taken for this application. The hardware requirement is there should be an Raspberry Pi, there should be an SD card, there should be a power supply, there should be VGA to HDMI converter, which may be optional. There should be analog to digital converter IC, which is related as MCP3008. There should be the role of a temperature sensor, and so on. And probably I can just observe the software which relates, maybe the Raspberry operating system, SD card formatter, Win32 disk imager, and so on. And the libraries which I can relate there is GPIO library, the timer library, the URL lib for handling all those URL links, which is handled from the live streams. And there is a role of a Python programming. So now, what is this DS18B20 temperature sensor is doing, and how does it reacts to the program? So here, the DS18B20 is a one-wire programmable temperature sensor, which would be originated or which would be used to measure the temperature in all those hard environments, like in the chemical solutions, the soil, the mines, and so on. And this temperature sensor is rugged and it can also be purchased with a waterproof option, making the mounting process easy. And this sensor would be able to measure the wide range of temperature values ranging from minus 55 degrees Celsius to 125 degree Celsius. And it comes with a decent accuracy of 5 degree centigrade. Now, this sensor has a unique address and it requires only one pin of an MCU to transfer the data, so that it could be a better choice for measuring the temperature at all those multiple points without comprising much of the digital pin on the computers. And now the applications which comes with this temperature sensor would be measuring temperature at all the hard environments, the liquid temperature measurement, applications where the temperature has to be measured at multiple points, and the pin configuration detail for this temperature sensor would be the data, the VCC, and a ground. The data, this pin provides the output, and this is the pin which will have a value being read with one wired method. And the VCC always has the voltage which will be mentioned in the form of 3.3 volt or 5 volt. And we have a ground, and ground always connects the ground point to the circuit. How does it looks with a temperature sensor pin out? You can just see, I've just taken a demonstration here. So the red color marking or a wire which comes from this temperature sensor, we call it as a VCC, and the ground always has a black, and the data which comes across is being recognized as a yellow. There is a yellow patch which I can relate it as a data. And on the other hand, we have got the Maxim DS18B20 temperature sensor pin out with the soldering being done, and the inside of the soldering, you're just observing the VCC is pointed as red colored and data with an orange and black for a ground. And finally, after soldering and after completing its action, this is how it is observed with the right hand side. And the next point of our discussion is how can I access the command line of a Raspberry Pi remotely from any other computer or a device which is existent on the similar or a same network using SSH command. Now, this Raspberry Pi will also act as a remote device, and this could be able to connect to any of those computers or the devices using the client or an server machine. And how do I do this is there are certain steps. Step 1 says we have to set up the local network and we need to set up the wireless connectivity. The step 2 says I need to enable the SSH, which is a secured socket handler, and we need to have the SSH being observed with an headless Raspberry Pi machine. Then I need to set up the client. Now there is the next addressing point, which comes as an additional functionality for this existent temperature. So that is nothing but accessing the temperature from the given device. That's DS18B20. And this DS18B20 is nothing but a digital thermometer which will allow the users to get the measurements, and these measurements will depend on the resolutions which are added. If the resolution and the bit associated is differing, then it's quite obvious I will be getting a recording with the variations or the differences. And also, this digital thermometer has an alarming capability or a functionality which will trigger the thresholds found with a device. And this sensor communicates using one wire protocol, which means it only requires a pin from a microcontroller to be connected to it. So now each sensor has a unique 64-bit serial code, and this will allow the multiple digital sensor devices to function on the similar line as that of a one-wire bus. Probably I can just tell the device can operate with an voltage lying between 3 volts and 5.5 volts. And there may be the values which could be changed based on the functionality of the application. There is yet one more term which is associated with this Raspberry Pi, that is gaining the remote accessibility from the Pi. So to access a Raspberry Pi from outside of your home network, you would usually need to use lot of hops. You would usually get an IP address or tweak few settings on your home router. If you just need to control a few simple things on your Raspberry Pi, it is, we call it as the methods which is giving you the accessibility. The first thing what you have to do to gain a remote access to the Raspberry Pi outside your home network, I need to set up and I need to connect firstly the home network. And since you're connecting to the home network, most of your data would be exposed via the internet. And make sure you're going to change the default password during the setup process. And once you are changing the settings based on the UI which is prompted to you, you need to come back and you need to just monitor the all the values which are grounded up with those settings. And remotely we can log into the Raspberry Pi's operating system using VNC Connect. I just repeat it again. Whenever we wanted to have a remote access to the Raspberry Pi, we need to connect using VNC. And here, VNC is providing the connection aspects